Start doing some more projects.
You ready?
I've been born ready, straight off of fish and spaghetti. I see the big picture. If it's to get richer, I'll probably get with you.
What's your what's your curfew? What's your how long you could go?
I mean, I ain't finna be here for 3 hours with you.
No, no. We usually do like an hour,
That's fine.
like that.
Knock it out.
Let me try that again. Yo, what's going on, guys? This is Anthony with the Movie Blog. I'm here with my brother E-Man from E-Man's Movie Reviews. We're here with another episode of The Correct Opinion. This week is a different week. It's not super fast paced, but there is a lot of cool stuff to weigh in on and provide you guys with the correct opinion on. And here's a few of our top topics to discuss. Now, one of the first things that you and I were discussing off and on throughout the week was this Variety article that came out recently, which was just full of bombshells, or at least accusations of potential things that happened within the Warner Brothers house. Now, we were looking at this article, and it looks like, from what we can see, that your boy The Rock. Your boy The Rock was sitting here trying to make a bid for power. When he was sitting here talking about the hierarchy of power is about to change, he wasn't just talking about some Marvel versus DC stuff. He was sitting here trying to like make moves on trying to like really just shape the direction of the DCEU moving forward. He didn't really want that job that ultimately went to James Gunn, but he wanted to be at least the hand controlling the direction of things.
Yeah. I mean, we talked about that before, where, he wanted his own sandbox.
Yeah.
He wanted the same sandbox that Matt Reeves got and Todd Phillips got, which, so I don't blame him for making, you got to shoot your shot.
Yeah.
Right?
Basically.
I don't blame him for that at all. But according to this report, and there were little rumbles about this before, I think a week or two even before this, there was a report about how he went behind the backs of the people that were in charge at that time. Now, granted, they were on their way out anyway. So Walter Hamada, like, he was on his way out anyway. He had his own plan for Superman and all that. And he wasn't going when The Rock said what he was going to do. So The Rock went behind his back and went behind the other people's back. Again, the people that were leaving.
Yeah.
And was like, yo, new bosses, here's my pitch.
Yep.
This is what I want to do. Let's do something with Black Adam. So supposedly what it was, Black Adam versus Superman. He wanted to do a Black Adam movie. He wanted Superman to do his movies. He wanted them to cross paths, have friction, and eventually build up to a Black Adam versus Superman showdown. That's what The Rock was doing.
Basically.
So that's what he was pitching.
He put it all on black. He bet it.
Put it all on black. And when in doubt, bet on black.
Bet on black, right?
But he bet wrong.
He bet wrong.
Because again, because of the timing, James Gunn had nothing to do with this. But James Gunn wasn't hired yet. Him and Safran were not hired yet. Like I tell people on my live, this was during the wild, wild west of the DC universe, the company.
Yeah.
So
there weren't any heads, right? It was essentially new people getting hired, right? It was Michael.
They didn't even have a separate studio yet.
They didn't even have a separate studio.
Zaslav didn't, because Zaslav, he was like, yo, I see what Disney's doing.
Yep.
And I see how they made Marvel Studios its own entity.
Yep.
They didn't have that yet. So this is before all of that structure came into place.
So now with David Zaslav, Mike DeLuca, Pam Abdi sitting here with no organization or structure in place, The Rock decides to shoot his shot, put it all on black, and be like, yo, give me these things and watch me go. Watch me work.
Yeah.
Watch me work, and when the money comes in, I'm going to show you what to do with this DC universe. At least this is what I'm reading here.
Yes. And that was a mistake. Mainly because The Rock did let ego take over. And again, I say that respectfully because I understand. He's The Rock. He's one of the biggest names in Hollywood. I get it. But this is the problem. The Rock put himself, his name, his brand before good storytelling. And that has been the biggest issue. That's been one of the reasons why I've always had critiques when it comes to his production company, because they will be willing to sacrifice a good story, which also starts to hurt the characters, all in the place of let's get this cheap laugh or let's do this really cool stunt. And it's kind of like when you break away from the story, everything else suffers. Even if you get that momentary, funny haha moment or that momentary fan service.
The Rock has been doing numbers in the box office, right? With Rampage and all those little movies that I can't even remember what they were, but when they were coming out, they were making more enough.
That's the problem. You can't even remember what they were because unfortunately he sacrifices quality for like other cheap gags or for fan service or whatever. And it's like, I get that it works in the moment, but it suffers in the long term. This is one of the reasons why people don't oftentimes refer to a lot of his older movies, because they're kind of cheap at the end of the day. They don't, you gotta focus on the story. So when I say focus on the story, this is what I'm talking about. In multiple reports, it's been stated that The Rock declined and did not want to participate in Shazam 1 or in Shazam 2. Now, as comic fans, many of us know Shazam is already not an A-list character.
Right.
He's barely a B-list character. You might get him on the C-list, but even at that point, Black Adam was created as a direct rival for Shazam. So ain't no way you gonna come in, you're already the subset of a minor character, and you gonna jump the list? You gonna jump the line and go for the A1 sauce in Superman? You just gonna go straight? You're not even gonna have an exhibition match. You just like, I'm coming into the scene and I'm about to go straight for the heavyweight champ. Like this is, I told people in my life,
this The Rock.
But here's the thing. No, but here's the thing. This is the only example I can give people.
Right away.
But this is the only example I can give people. The Rock came in like his name was Kimbo Slice. Rest in peace, Kimbo Slice. My man was dominating in backyard in fights. He was killing them in jail and stuff. Like, he was doing his thing. But my man acted like he wanted to come straight into the UFC and be like, where's Silva? Where's Bones Jones? Like, I want the title match. I don't want no exhibitions. I don't even want no first round. I want to go straight to the top. That's not how it works. I know you had success elsewhere, but that's not how it works from a story perspective. And I'm gonna give one counterexample that I think Rock should have explored. I understand that he didn't want to share the screen with Shazam. I totally get that.
Yeah.
You don't want to come off as like a lesser than. I get that. But the way we've seen comic book movies work, and in comics as well, the way you establish yourself, you need to come in and whoop the hell out of the Shazam family. Black Adam should have came in. He should have been teased in the first one, like with a cameo. The second movie should have showed him mopping the floor with all of them. Washing them. And Shazam just being like, I don't know what to do. What do I do? What do we do? Now
Superman
you can use Superman's help. Now. And then even after that, you could even bring Superman in and Superman get watched by Black Adam because his vulnerability to magic. And then the third or fourth movie could have been Shazam, Superman. We got to take this mofo down. And that's how you build him up. But you can't just come in here and be like, power of hierarchy is going to change and all. Bro.
It's not his fault. It was a mess. It's been a mess for the past 15 years.
No, this is his fault. I'm not giving him a pass for this because that's what he pitched. What we saw is what he pitched.
No,
he has a production company. It's not like he was sitting there like, I don't know, y'all tell the story and I'll just sign on. This is something. He's just as much of a decision maker as anyone else in this thing. So the same way I would give him praise if this thing worked out, I gotta give him criticism when it doesn't.
You hurt
and it
me
didn't.
with my man Rock.
You gotta take that too,
You
bro.
hurting it with my man Rock. I'm just
I mean,
trying to let
listen, and I
him
say this out
live.
of love because I'm a huge fan and I want to see the brother succeed. But I'm sorry, you can't just walk in and expect the flowing story just because of your presence. You still are representing a character. And the character, again, and I just told you, all he had to do was beat up everybody. That's all he had to do. Thanos showed you exactly how that's done. Oh,
I thought
y'all
I
got
wanted
a
to share with
Hulk?
you guys.
That's cool. Washed. 5
Yeah.
minutes. I'm not playing with y'all. And everybody sat back and was like, oh, this is a problem. Thanos came in and set the whole tone for the rest of the 2 movies in 5 minutes. So ain't no reason why The Rock couldn't have done the same thing, you know.
Listen. He's. I'll say this: The Rock is eating his humble pie. The Rock is eating his humble pie right now. You pointed it out to me, right? Like we found this little post he did online on Instagram. He sat here, he put his little words out there, and he was just like, "Listen, failure comes with success. It happens,
Yeah. And that's why I don't mind him. I appreciate the fact that he recognized that, and I really do hope that moving forward, he puts story before characters, and you put story, characters, all before fan service. And this was something else that I told people on my live just the other day. Imagine if, because keep in mind, The Rock kept going online saying, I hear you, I'm listening to the fans, I'm listening. But the thing is, he led with that, right? He was like, oh, the fans want Henry Cavill, they want Superman. We have to force this into our story, and that's it. And I'm like, that's equivalent to opening up a restaurant that you have full control over, and you let the patrons cook the food.
No, they decide what's on the menu.
Fine. But not only do they decide what's on the menu, but they also get to tell you how to cook it, where to cook it, whatever. I'm like, look, that's not the same thing. If the fans say, yo, we want some barbecue, cool. Yes. You can go in there, but you could be like, hey, look, I know y'all say y'all want some barbecue, and I know y'all in the Midwest, but y'all never had Texas barbecue. So let me bring something to you. Because a lot of times fans don't always know what they want until they get it. And if it's good quality, they will let you know and they will stick behind you. And I don't think The Rock really understood that. I think he was more caught up in the fans told me they want Henry Cavill and Superman. So whatever we do, doesn't matter if it makes sense or not, as long as we get him, they will come. I'm sorry, it's not the same Field of Dreams. It's, as the box office has proven, just because you have Henry Cavill and Superman does not mean people are going to flock to it. But if you had a quality story and people were talking about the story, people were theorizing about it, then you would probably get more traction.
So what I find interesting about this article is like, whoever wrote this article wanted to make sure everyone who read it knows exactly how this movie failed. Like, it broke down, like, hey, yo, let me explain to you why Black Adam's box office is different than, say, Shazam's box office. Here's how much Shazam had for marketing. Here's how much this one had for production. And this is where Black Adam went way overboard with all of these things. Or at least it made it seem like it was overboard with the tequila bar at the premiere. And it just like makes sure that you understand exactly where these failures were and why this movie is, or at least this iteration of Black Adam's not going to be continuing right now.
And I'm appreciative of that, mainly because I don't think a lot of people always understand like how movies work and like how the success or the failure of them is determined. And one great line that they talk about in this article is about like the profitability of a film. And they were talking about how like, look, Shazam, the budget was like 100 million and it made like 300 something million, right? So it tripled its budget, right? But at the same time, yes, it made money, but the expectations were also very low. Nobody was really checking for, and I'm talking about like from the people that made the movie. WB was not looking for 3 times. They were like, yo, can we make our money back and then some? right? And because it made triple the amount with low expectations, it was a hit. It's a hit. It's not a box office record, but it's a hit. But Black Adam, you doubled the expectation. The expectations were way higher because you had a box office name with The Rock.
Yeah.
You had a double the budget, at least 200 million, give or take, and you barely touched 400 million, which means you barely doubled in the box office.
Maybe it touched 400 million.
So
maybe.
Is it a flop? No, the movie made more money than it was worth, than it cost, but it's not a hit. It's not a success. It didn't hit the expectations of profitability.
That's the annoying part, because what you're saying right there is expectations of perception perception.
Right. But but here's the other thing though. A lot of these studios, especially Marvel, because I've heard this from people in the know, they do the research, and Marvel will sit here and be like, oh, this movie right here, it should make $800 million.
They'll do usually research, they'll do forecasting for the budget, and usually things like that. DC does it too. Everybody does it.
I'm just saying, Marvel usually spot on. I'm just talking about Marvel because I know people specifically in that space. But yeah, you're right. Like other, studios will probably have market reps and tests and stuff for that too. But a lot of times these studios know, oh, for this movie right here, we know we should hit this amount of money. This is one of the reasons why Batman versus Superman, Justice League, and all these other movies, like a lot of these movies failed to meet expectations. Yes, it's fine if what was it, BVS, I think hit 800 million or something like that.
Yeah.
If I'm not mistaken. If it was any other company, that movie, that's fine. However, you got Batman and Superman. The expectation was y'all should have made $1 billion at least. At least. Justice League movie not cracking $1 billion, that's a failure. That's not even underperforming. That's a failure. Ain't no way you should have some of the most popular fictional characters and not hit the bare minimum of $1 billion when you have like Harry Potter doing this, Star Wars doing this, Marvel doing it. If you could have Captain Marvel hit $1 billion, ain't no way. Ain't no way Superman and Batman can't hit $1 billion. So it's always about expectations, and then of course the actual profitability of the film itself. And Black Adam just fell short.
Tough lesson to learn. Tough lesson to learn. And everybody around is learning. Everybody around is learning. Right now we're learning that as a result, this iteration of the DC universe and film, it's over. It's coming to an end. It's
done.
It's done. However, according to this very same article, the article, and if I'm reading this correctly, says it's going to undergo the DC universe is going to undergo a broad but not blanket reset. Okay. So they go on to say that Aquaman, Shazam, Blue Beetle, and James Gunn's Peacemaker series for HBO Max all could have a place at the table in the future. And that's a little, I don't know. I mean, I'm not against it. I'm not against it at all. At this point, I honestly don't care. But it's a little weird, right? I guess to have them coexist, to do, they say, a broad but not blanket reset, because mainly because what they have announced is that James Gunn is working on that new Superman movie. It's going to be featuring a younger iteration of Superman. That Superman is not going to be played by Henry Cavill. However, you're going to continue to have Peacemaker, and you're going to continue to have Shazam. And both of those franchises have, in one way or another, featured Henry Cavill's Superman.
Sure.
So it's like, it just feels a little weird that somehow they're going to, I guess they're going to have to explain it, but somehow these shows or projects are going to continue, but not all aspects of the characters they've interacted with are going to continue.
I don't think they got to explain anything. I think they're going to put out a Superman movie, and they're just going to be like, look, here's the movie.
That's it. And just not explain
That's it. And people just gonna have to figure it out.
Okay. Okay.
Yep. That's it.
All right. We'll see. We'll see. So every fan, Aquaman, Shazam, Blue Beetle, Peacemaker, there's still a chance. You got a shot. There's a shot, depending on the box office of these films this year.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And the other interesting thing that was in this Variety article, it looks like Warner Brothers Discovery is open to the idea of keeping Ezra Miller as the Flash. Your boy Ezra. Excuse me, not your boy, your person. Excuse me, your human being Ezra.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Nice.
Oh.
Nice.
I mean, so let's look at it, right? The Flash movie was announced God knows how long ago. God knows how long, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm a huge fan of the Flash. I love the character. I read the comics. I even went so far as to watch the CW TV show and encourage others to watch it too. Right?
Okay.
As corny as it is. I love the character that much. I've been excited for the idea of the Flash being a movie, right?
Okay.
Two of my favorite things coming together. It seems like it's just a match made in heaven. I've been super duper excited for the idea of the Flash becoming a movie.
Mm-hmm.
And then they hired Ezra Miller. And I was like, okay, all right, this is not quite exactly the Barry Allen that I am familiar with, but let's roll with it, right? And, we went through the ups and downs of getting acclimated with Ezra as Barry Allen. And I'm going to admit, given enough time, I'm okay with. I was okay with Ezra as Barry.
All right.
I mean, I figured if I can accept, 6'8" Grant Gustin as Barry Allen, I could accept Ezra Miller as Barry Allen as long as I'm getting the same DNA of the character that I love. Some cool speed moments, some cool speed powers, the vibration, the whirlwinds vibrating through walls, the lightning, time travel. I want to see all that cool stuff in a way that will blow my mind with a big screen budget. And they announced that they're going to do Flashpoint, which is one of my favorite stories.
It's a great story.
It's a fantastic story. Written by Jeff Johns. Love him or hate him. Fantastic story. They're adapting it in film, and they're bringing back Michael Keaton Batman. My favorite Batman.
Go.
Yeah. My favorite Batman. It doesn't get any better than this. And then Ezra had to go and choke TV. And Ezra had to go and choke someone on TV.
That was it?
That was the start. That was the first thing. That was the first one.
Okay.
We know of. You remember the choke, right? I remember the choke. And when I first saw the choke, I honestly thought, this can't be real. This looks staged.
I thought it was. I did not. Ain't no way. Ain't no way.
Even look real.
This is real. Ain't no way. Like, it's got to be a misunderstanding. I gave Ezra the benefit of the doubt, and for a while, it went away. Like it was kind of like, okay, like I'm not hearing nothing about pressing charges. I'm not hearing nothing crazy. Like maybe the fan attacked him first. I don't know.
You check the boxes enough for me to not care anymore.
Yep.
And then Ezra went to Hawaii.
Do we have time to go through all the things?
You know what? I'm not gonna go through everything.
I was gonna say the list is long. Like I
list
tried doing it one time on the show and it was like 20 minutes. Like going through every single arrest, accusation, incident, report. I mean, there are some things that, like, you know, Ezra has not been arrested for or anything that people have talked about. Like where, for example, he was working on a set, I forget for what show or movie or whatever, and he spit in the face of like some other actor. Like, and I don't think they press charges or nothing, but like that is assault. You cannot spit in people's face.
Okay.
You definitely not spit in my face, and man.
I'm not gonna go through the whole laundry list. I'm just.
It's long.
It's long.
It's long.
It's
I just
long.
want people to understand this is not just a matter of, oh, it's just rumors or it's just no. It like Ezra's been arrested. Ezra's been caught on tape. Ezra has had lawsuits against them. Like there's a long list of problematic issues.
Ezra posted a video threatening the lives of the KKK.
Yeah. Yeah. And ain't nobody trying to defend the KKK here. But at the same time,
this is your superhero.
It is very problematic. Ezra avoided police for a while, you know, because Ezra didn't want to get served.
And let's not ever forget, and absolutely not least, Ezra's questionable accusations with other people's children.
That's my biggest issue.
Right? These questionable accusations.
My biggest issue is the grooming of minors accusation.
Anything with other people's children is a trigger.
I agree.
What are you doing? That's it. That's all I'm gonna say.
Yeah,
it's a trigger. It's a trigger.
Yeah.
So, Ezra Miller's been seeking some sort of psychiatric or therapeutic counseling, something.
Mm-hmm.
And Ezra's been out of the news, out of jail, hasn't been arrested in like 6 months. So Warner Brothers Discovery, according to this Variety article, is amenable to the idea of Ezra Miller continuing to lead, be the face of a franchise of a flagship, one of the flagship products of their company.
Terrible.
Other people's kids, and you can be a superhero.
Terrible. Not only that, I mean, one of the charges levied against Ezra was, you know, starting some sort of cult-like thing or whatever.
I didn't even touch on the cult.
Using
the
Flash, like whether it was toys or whether it was them dressing up or just talking about using the Flash persona, the Flash's imagery, name, whatever, in their efforts to groom or manipulate minors. That, to me, has crossed the line. Because it's one thing if you're doing all this stuff, hey man, ain't no court ruled against you yet, you're not in jail, whatever. I could see Warner Brothers Discovery doing the plausible deniability claim. I could see that. I wouldn't agree with it, but I could see it. But the moment your IP is now conflated with the problematic behavior, that's a red flag. That's a sign to stop. That's a sign to be like, you know what? Thank you for your service. Your contract has now been fulfilled, because Ezra has been going back to shoot reshoots because they're contractually obligated to do that. And that's it. You know, and I've said on my channel, I'm like, look, it ain't that hard to recast Ezra Miller. No one's going to blink if Ezra Miller is recast. No one is going to this movie because of Ezra Miller. No one's going to go to the next movie for Ezra Miller. You literally can insert any old other white, brunette, kid, guy, whatever, and let the show go on.
They don't know that for it's perspective. They don't have any
Well,
perspective.
I guess
I
according
try
to
to
other
I try to
reports,
play devil's
this Flash
advocate.
movie is being compared in the same breath as the Nolan stuff, the Nolan Dark Knight stuff, and I'm like, y'all need to stop.
I mean, they
Like,
said
y'all need
they
to
did the
stop
same
letting
thing
this
with
stuff leak.
the Batman. They did the same thing with that. It was
That's what I'm saying. But like, every time you do stuff like that, you overhype it and you raise expectations, and it's like that's going to be something that now you have to compete against. Because here's the thing, maybe The Flash is the greatest thing that they've ever made. Maybe it is. But now that you've raised the bar of expectations, now you have a huge challenge to actually meet that new high bar or exceed it. Whereas before, I think most people, and I don't think everybody's heard this report, but I think a lot of times people were just kind of like, let me go see what it is. Let's see what happens. But every time y'all keep talking about, man, the scores are through the roof. Man, this movie is like the best thing ever. And it's like, okay, we'll see. Because if you can't meet them expectations, the critics and the early reviewers and stuff like that, they're going to let you know.
Man, we're gonna find out. I'm just saying. They're saying it's like the greatest thing ever. And again, as a really, really, really big Flash fan, this is all really, 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 really painful. Because I'm hearing that this is like the greatest movie ever. It's adapting one of my favorite stories of all time, a Jeff Johns story at that. They're bringing back the GOAT, Michael Keaton, as Batman. And now we have to, taint it with everything that's been going on in the press. This movie was supposed to come out last year, yo.
Yeah. It was. But it also didn't want to go into that Avatar lane either.
Nah.
Nobody want to mess with that.
Nobody wants to smoke. It's a wise decision because Avatar,
man. Yeah. It is.
Yeah. But yeah, this Variety article, it's a gift that keeps on giving. It was a nice way to cap off 2022 and walk into 2023. In 2020